गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. We are in Amrut Anubhav, Jnana, Ajnana, Bhed, Kathana, undifferentiated knowledge, and we are looking at the introduction, and here Swamiji is telling that the techniques of understanding relative knowledge in the relative plane cannot be applied to the absolute existence. Atma Jnana cannot be gained through that knowledge which is contrary to ignorance. First part. The rules of when you are single cannot be applied to a married family. You'll have a problem on your hands, isn't it? Same way, the rules of relative existence cannot be applied to the to the absolute reality, and Atma Jnana cannot be gained through that knowledge which is contrary to ignorance. What is that knowledge which is contrary to ignorance? I am asking, what is the knowledge which is contrary to ignorance?
Knowledge of the self, Swamiji.
It's contrary to ignorance.
Yes, knowledge of the self.
How can knowledge of the self be contrary to ignorance? Is the sun against light or darkness? I'm asking you a question.
No.
So, what is that knowledge? Atma Jnana cannot be gained through that knowledge which is contrary to ignorance. So, what does it mean?
There is no ignorance at all.
Atma Jnana is what? Atma Jnana is realization of your essential nature, isn't it? This essential nature, this Atma that I am, is not contrary to ignorance, which means it is not for. So when we say the Upanishads take us to the Atma Jnana, they help us come to realize ourselves. So is it that the world does not take us to ourselves? Is world more ignorant than the Upanishadic literature? Huh?
Yes. No.
What yes and what no? You have to qualify.
Everything is within, Swami. There's no literature is also
part of the world. Is part of the world.
Yes.
So therefore, world you know through thoughts, the scriptures you know through thoughts.
Yes.
And thoughts are expressions of ignorance at the relative existence, isn't it? The Atma Jnana, the conscious self, is not contrary to appearance of thoughts or disappearance of thoughts, is not contrary to presence of thought or absence of thought. This was the meditation today. It's not contrary to presence of thoughts or absence of thought. Just like I gave you the example, the sun is not against or for light or darkness, because from its point of view there is no light and there is no darkness. Similarly, from the Atmic point of view, there is no knowledge and there is no ignorance. Then what is the vision from the Atma point of view?
All it is.
Aham Brahmasmi. That is the everything I am, all I am, or all it is, as she said. So it's a homogeneous experience of oneness without a thought. That is Atmic Drishti, Atmic vision. And in that Atmic vision, the phenomena has no place. Just as from water's vision, there is no phenomena of ocean and waves. It's a homogeneous vision. All I am. And that all does not mean an acceptance of ocean and waves. We are using the word all only because we are speaking from relative plane. From water's point of view, it will maunam vyakhyat, it will be silent. It doesn't need to make a comment. And yet, in the phenomena, this is observed now, this we cannot understand it till we don't get there. Yet in the phenomena, we see in the realized masters who are abiding in that Atma, which is neither against knowledge nor ignorance, yet because we are looking at the equipment, we are looking at their body, we see that they respond to stimuli, they get hungry, they wake up, they go to sleep, etc., etc., etc. But that will be our shortcoming in accepting a Mahatma to be only that body. That is where we lack in our vision. Their vision is all inclusive, I alone am, and our vision is that body alone Mahatma is. See, the Guru Maharaj is teaching that Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma or Tattvamasi, and the student is saying, but I have this challenge, but I have that challenge. He is not focused, he is not coming to himself. So Atma Jnana cannot be gained through that knowledge which is contrary to ignorance. Thought knowledge, initially, as we said in the meditation, thought knowledge can express at tamasic, rajasic, sattvic level, and that thought knowledge can wean you away from the tamasic thoughts, ideas, convictions to rajasic thoughts, convictions, and eventually bring you to the sattvic. But sattva is also an expression of ignorance alone. And we have to shoot out of that also. We have to dissolve that also. And that happens only by grace. And that is possible. And therefore now a different vision. We are looking at from the sattva, rajas, tamas, from the sadhana point of view. Now from the atmic point of view, is there sattva, rajas, tamas? No. Is there knowledge and ignorance? No. When that knowledge which is not differentiated in terms of knower known knowledge is real knowledge. How do we gain knowledge? Through thoughts. For a thought, what are the ingredients that are required? For this world, what are the three ingredients required? Jeev, Jagat, Ishwar. These are the three ingredients. Without any one of them, the world cannot exist. Similarly, How does a thought come into existence? There is a thinker, there is a thoughted, and there is thinking going on. There is a knower, there is a known, and there is knowing going on. There is an experiencer, there is an experienced, and there is an experience going on. So these three, what are these three? Subject, object, and instrument of knowledge. Subject, object, and instrument. Seer, seen, seeing. Hearer, heard, hearing. Taster, tasted, tasting. Where here it is told that knowledge which is not differentiated in terms of knower known knowledge is real knowledge. So what is real knowledge? What is Atmagnan? What is abiding in reality? Where we are not, where the knowledge of the self is taking place without the knower known knowing, without the triputi, without the triputi. Will the mind chant, think? Let it think. But you are not existing because of thinking. You are independent. You are swatantra. You are self-existing. You are self-illuminating. The Atma is self-knowing. It is not self-knowing because it thought I am Atma. That is not the way. Because then it is dependent on the thoughts. And who is this Atma? You are that Atma, man. We are talking about you. We are not talking about a concept. So this has to be applied to yourself. I am in spite of thinking, or I am thinking therefore I am. Which is your conclusion? Majority of the human beings, they think therefore they think they are. To come to the real knowledge, we have to recognize that we are independent of appearance or disappearance of thoughts. And those thoughts can be Aham Brahmasmi. Those thoughts can be I am that. Those thoughts can be Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Let the thoughts come. That is the job of the mind. But you are independent. And only when we recognize and abide in this independent principle as the thought-free I, then the Anvaya happens. Anvaya means all inclusivity. Till now it was, I am trying to wean myself away from the thoughts, isn't it? But when I come to abide, suddenly there is a spontaneous, only in relative terms I am explaining, there is a spontaneous explosion which includes everything that is and is not. Everything. Then there is only the self everywhere. This is the theme of the 4th chapter. What is this theme? Undifferentiated knowledge. Where there is no division, that is the undifferentiated knowledge. Space is undifferentiated. We have differentiated with our imaginary lines called longitudes and latitudes. But you go and look for these lines along the globe, you will not find anything. We have created north, south, east, west, the 8 directions in the space, or 10 directions, top and bottom also. But you go and look for north, south, east, west, you can't find it. Go outside the Earth's atmosphere, all the directions vanish. All directions vanish. Similarly, here when we are talking about space, you are going outside the gravity of the Earth, directions vanish, latitudes, longitudes vanish, they are not there. They are only imaginary. Similarly, when we move towards ourselves, the true self, that means by using the mind, we are jumping out of the mind, going beyond the thought. Then all the differences which are only prevalent in the mind is a product of differences, subject object difference, Triputi. All the differences stand neutralized the moment you take a stand, take a position outside the mind, independent of the mind. In fact, and this language we are using here, but when you take that position, you will not say, now I am separate to the mind. If you say that I am separate to the mind, you are only in meditation. If you are truly separated to the mind and come to abide in the self as the self, then what remains or what is all that you are. That is undifferentiated knowledge. In the self, no divisions are possible. Divisions can only, just as in space, no divisions are possible. In the water, no divisions of ocean and wave are possible. Then what are ocean and waves? Imaginations of the foolish people. It's a phenomena. It seems to be there, but actually is not there. Now recognize this about yourself, that mind is a phenomena. The substratum is this Atma. And we want to have this Atma Jnana. And if you continue to keep thinking in the mind and become very clear and learn the Vishnu Sahasranam, Lalita Sahasranam, Panchadashi, all the scriptures, you know all the mantras, it is not equal to Atma Jnana. We have to, should we do all this? Yes, do it. But our goal must be clear. Atma Jnana is thought-free knowledge. And thought-free knowledge does not mean annihilation of thoughts. Thought-free knowledge means the Atmic principle is independent of appearance or disappearance of thoughts, presence or absence of thoughts. This dialogue which I just made, the Atmic principle is independent of presence and absence of thoughts. This is being told by the scriptures, by Jnaneshwar Maharaj to us in the relative existence. This language is not possible in the Atmic self because it is independent of all expressions. There is no expression, no thought, no idea, no imagination, no concept that is valid there. When the student contemplates on the lines delineated in the earlier chapters, he develops Jnana Vritti. So when we follow the first chapter, what was it? Shiva Shakti Samavesh. Second chapter, Guru Stavana. Third chapter, the debt of the speech through the mantras. Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. As we practice all this, first we understood the totality, Shiva Shakti. That Shiva Shakti appears as the Guru Maharaj in our life or the Guru Tattva. We become available only when we do have devotion, when we have surrender, when we have Sharanagati, when we think of the higher. Who is the higher? Ishvara. When we think of the higher, don't think that by our efforts the Guru Maharaj will come into our life. Then only that Guru Maharaj will come into your life whom you will throw away after some time. But when we are dedicated to the Lord, we are surrendered to the Lord, Lord appears as Guru Maharaj in our life and scriptures in our life. See? So that was the second chapter. Then what does Guru Maharaj tell you? Guru Maharaj's job is only one, to make you available to yourself. So he gave the sadhana in the third chapter. to understand the fourth chapter without having practiced the third chapter in your life, or the second or the first. It is not possible. Suppose you have a Guru Maharaj in your life and he has given you some instructions. So here our Guru Maharaj is Jnaneshwar Maharaj. He appeared in the Guru Stavana because of our devotion. Why we are taking Amrit Anubhav? By grace of God. See? Now we have to practice that. We have to pay the debt of the four speeches. Without paying that debt, we will not understand what is undifferentiated knowledge, because we have not purified our mind yet. It is still cluttered with the thoughts of the world. And as long as it is cluttered, the debts have not been paid. See? The debts have not been paid. This undifferentiated knowledge clicks only in a person who is qualified, who is ready. A metal can be molded only when it is hot. On a cold metal, you can keep hitting. Nothing, no dent. But when the metal is hot, it can be brought into shape. And what is the methodology or technique to heat up the mind? Do the sadhana, Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. This is heating up. Another way of heating up is making your mind single pointed, that is heating up. The result is purification. The result is what the Guru Maharaj then tells in such a, because what is the job of the Guru Maharaj? To mold you, to make you recognize that you are whom you are seeking in essence. To whom? To the individual, to the seeker. Where is the seeker? Is he in the Atma or is he in the mind? He is in the mind. That's time, I am a seeker is an idea in the mind. I am an individual is an idea in the mind. So the mind needs to be molded. But for that molding, the heat treatment is Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. What will happen as a result of Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para? The ego will dissolve. That is the heat. It is feeling the heat is generated because it has been holding on to the world for so many lifetimes, and now everything is slipping away through the fingers of the ego. But it is continuing on that journey because Guru Maharaj told it. It is continuing on that journey because it is the right thing to do. See? Then this undifferentiated knowledge or this chapter will click to us. So here he says, when the student contemplates on the lines delineated in the earlier chapters, he develops jnana vritti. Meaning, jnana vritti means, it doesn't mean knowledge of the scriptures, thought of the knowledge of the scriptures. No. Jnana here means the knowledge of the self. So now you are locked in. Your mind is locked in into the self. Like from last night when you would have gone to sleep, or whenever, your mind is locked in. Sunday morning we have to come for this class. It is locked in. Automatically on Saturday night you prepare yourself in such a way that you get up early in the morning for the 8:30 class. When you got married, you got locked in. Your mind automatically thinks, I am a wife or a husband. There is nothing called wife and husband, but you are thinking that way, and it's locked in. You are committed. Same way, the mind gets, as a result of purification and instructions from the teacher, having gone through the first, second, third chapter, the mind gets locked in the jnana vritti, It is continuously contemplating on the self and nothing but the self. This happens only by grace. Just like when you do japa, a point comes where there is a japa jap sthiti. A japa jap sthiti is what? Involuntary chanting of the divine name. So waking, dream, all the time, that mantra, whether you like it or not, you want it or not, it is going on in the mind. That is a japa jap sthiti. It won't allow you to sleep also. Same thing. Now instead of the japa of some god or whatever, now you have come to the mind is continuously contemplating. How can it contemplate? Only through thoughts. So what is it contemplating? On the self. It is not getting distracted by any other thoughts of the world. It's not getting distracted by gross or subtle. It is focused on the infinite. Through thought though. Through thought. Because vritti means thought. The jnana vritti destroys the ajnana vritti. Okay. So the thought of knowledge, meaning the thought of the self, destroys all the thoughts of the not self. This you try doing it with the God's name also. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah. Once you become addicted or it takes over your mind, other thoughts of the world, they may appear for a second, but immediately they are burnt away. They cannot stand in the heat that is generated by this divine thought, Om Namah Shivaya. Same way, even more powerful than the Om Namah Shivaya is the attention that you have. The self is even more powerful than that thought of Om Namah Shivaya. Because it's closer. For a devotee, Om Namah Shivaya is closer. For a Vedanti or for the pursuing the path of knowledge, he wants to know who am I. So now he is clear, he has got no doubts about it. So the more I think about it, and this is very simple, it is not very scientific, too complicated. Just as when you think of the sleep, all the thoughts of the world are destroyed from your mind by themselves. You are not putting away any thought from your mind. You are only focusing on the sleep. Now the mind is focusing on the self, and the consequence of that is every action must have a result, right? We are not having any result. Our focus is not on the result. Our focus is on what is to be done. What is to be done? Focus on the self. Jnana vritti, the mind, the thought in the mind is focused on the self. But every action must give a result. So what is the consequent result? The destruction of anatma vichar. The destruction of anatma vritti. That is what is told here. Understand the principle and then apply it. Or even if you don't apply it, be aware of it in your daily functioning. So here he says that the jnana vritti destroys the ajnana vritti, but ignorance continues to exist in the disguise of knowledge, because this jnana vritti is also under the purview of ignorance alone. All that has happened is, it is of the sattvic nature, and the anatma vritti was of the tamasic nature. Why tamasic? The possessions of the world are tamasic. The relations of the world are tamasic, because your attention is only on the body. Body is tamasic. See? So when we are thinking of the self, it weans us, the seeker, away from the possessions and relations and brings him closer to the essential nature that he is. But he is not abiding yet. He is still at the thought level. He is at the Savikalpa Samadhi level. Because Savikalpa, he is thinking of the self with the thought. It can lead to Nirvikalpa or it can remain in Savikalpa. But it has not become Sahaja yet. But what has happened as a result of this Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa thought of the self? All distractions which only appear as thoughts, convictions, ideas, emotions in our mind, they become neutralized. They become ineffective in entangling us. In fact, they don't entangle us. We get entangled in them because we give value to them. Now we have given value to the self. So, whatever you give value to, those thoughts appear in your mind. So now you have become so clear, so convinced that the thought of the self is the most important thought. Automatically, no other thought will come and disturb. And even if they do come and appear in the heat of the contemplation of the self thought, because you are not available to them, they go their way. They will go to London. They'll go to America. They will not stay with you. They'll go to someone else. They have to go somewhere. They'll go. But they will not stick with you. Then why did they come? Well, that is the nature of the mind. Something from the subconscious must have come about. Don't go exploring that. Why did this thought come? There must be a higher purpose. I think I should look into it. It must be by divine grace that this thought came. What was the thought? Oh, the lottery numbers. Then your situation will be like Jad Bharat. After 10,000 years of meditation on Om Vishnave Namaha, he hears the roar of a lion and he sees a deer giving a birth to a fawn while jumping over the river out of fear. And he says, oh, why did I open my eyes? It must be Lord's will. Why am I feeling like going to help? Isn't so? As a result of devotion to the Lord, love for the whole creation does come, but it also becomes a distraction. And he felt, I think there is a purpose. There is something that the Lord wants me to do. He wants me to go and help that drowning fawn. So he picks up that fawn, brings him home, starts feeding him milk, and now he's got involved in the baby deer. And for that, to that much extent, he is not doing his sadhana. And slowly, what happened? Because he is giving attention to the deer, his love for the deer becomes more, and it starts corrupting his love for Lord Vishnu. And the result was, when he died, he didn't, even after 10,000 years of remembering Lord Vishnu, he died thinking of the deer because that was more immediate. And therefore next life was that of a deer. So choose wisely what you want to think of. Jnana vritti cancels ajnana vritti. Choose what you give value to in life. That choice you have. Nobody can make that for you. Nobody can force it upon you. As long as patterns exist, knower-known difference is still maintained. Patterns in the mind, patterns of relationship, patterns of fear, patterns of uh, self-worth, patterns of self-confidence or lack of confidence, patterns of ambition, patterns of wanting to do something in this life, pattern of I am the body consciousness, pattern that I am a waker and I am a dreamer and I am a sleeper. Now all these patterns have been replaced by one pattern. What is that? The jnana vritti, the thought of the self. Now observe yourself. Can you say that our mind is continuously only thinking of the self 24/7, or is it corrupted by other patterns, other pop-ups in the mind? If it is so, then rather than justify, find excuses, do what is required to be done. That's all. Only you know where your mind is. And if you are keen and you are interested in knowing the self, probably that's why you are here, then it's a simple mathematics. Jnana vritti neutralizes ajnana vritti. But understand, jnana vritti is also an expression of ignorance alone, as long as the vritti is there. Vritti, again, thought. What is thought? Thinker, thought, and the thinking. Three: subject, object, and the instrument of knowledge. The subject is I, the object is the self, and the instrument of knowledge is the mind. As long as the pattern exists, no known difference is still maintained. So long as this state of difference continues, the destination has not been reached. As long as you keep thinking of the Atma as an object to be pursued, as an object to become one with, because this is how we have lived our whole life. I have to become one with the food. I have to become one with the sleep. I have to become one with the dream. I have to become one with the husband or wife. I have to become one. If I have to hug the children, then I feel one with my children. So that habit of associating objectively, pursuing objectively, is carried forward in this Atmajnana also. So, I, the seeker, I, the individual, I, the one who is having the vritti jnana of the self, thought of the self, want to become one with the self. That presupposes that the self is separate from the one who is thinking. You are the thinker, you are the self. Now this you have to sort out. That is why we do the satsang. This is the crux now. As long as you are thinking of the self objectively, lifetimes can go on. It will never conclude. Because importance is not of the thought, importance is of your attention. Thought was, from many thoughts we brought the mind to one thought. That was the journey of the mind. And the mind is thinking what? Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Aham is also I, Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, Brahma Asmi. Brahman, the infinite reality, also I am. So how can I objectify I? how can I objectify I? How can this physical I see the physical I? Not possible. If you try, all the forms vanish. How can the mind think about the mind? If it thinks, mind will vanish. And that is what we are coming to. Mind thinking of the mind is Aham Brahmasmi. Mind is thinking. What is mind? Subject object. What is it thinking? I am. What is the object? I am Brahman or I am Atma. Now, Atma is not an object, Brahman is not an object. It is you only. The space inside the room is saying, I am the infinite space. It's already the infinite space. But as long as it is thinking, till then the imaginary difference between the house space and the infinite space will continue in the mind of the space. Same thing is our story also. As long as we continue to pursue objectively the pure consciousness, till then the difference between the individual consciousness and the infinite consciousness will be maintained in the mind. And therefore, when we read these type of scriptures, Shiva Shakti Samavesh, that Shiva and Shakti are one alone at the totality level. If that was, and there, remember what thought I was taking it subjectively also. That means the Atma and the mind are one alone. The potential and the potentiality are one, inseparable. So who is the potential? Atma. What is the potentiality? Mind. Inseparable. Yes, we were pursuing all that knowledge through thoughts. Now it is application time. That was to convince ourselves that no doubt is left behind when we come to this point where we are at the threshold with Vritti Jnanam, and now we are going to take the plunge. Bungee jump without the rope tied to the leg. What is the rope tied to the leg? The vritti. We are cutting that loose now and taking the jump. Like that small chicken, not chicken, what chicken? Like small chick of the eagle who has a nest on the cliffs, high cliffs. As it grows, it's seeing the free, open space. But the fear is there to take one step out of the nest. But how long can it wait? Eventually, in spite of the fear, it jumps. It has never seen itself flap the wings. Only in the nest, a little bit here, there. But it jumps, and the moment it jumps, it is free. Only when you jump into the water, you will learn how to swim. Only when that chick jumps into the open space, that it learns to fly. You can't learn to fly in the nest. You can't read the theory on the computer and learn swimming. Same way, you can't remain in the mind thinking about the self and come to realize. You have to jump out of the mind in order to soar high, in order to. That is going beyond Vritti Jnanam. Vritti Jnanam, continuing to maintain a position in the nest of the mind. Jump out. Fear will be there, insecurity will be there, But that is why all the scriptures we study that there is nothing to fear. Everything is taken care of because you are it. देखो कितनी सुंदर बात है. So long as this state of difference continues, the destination has not been reached. So as long as the subject and object, I the thinker and Brahman the thought, or Atman the thought, I am Atma Brahma, or Aham Brahmasmi, as long as this difference that I am there and I want to become one with the Brahman or Atma, till then the destination is not reached. Then what to do? You have to go beyond. Going beyond does not mean traveling somewhere. Going beyond means being free from this this thought of difference between the Aham and Atma. Seeker also I am, the destination also I am. The wave is saying Aham Brahmasmi. What is Aham? I am the wave. What is Brahmasmi for the wave? The infinite waters. It has to come to this understanding that even while this thought is going on of Aham Brahmasmi, it is the infinite water. There is no difference between the quality of the water that is expressing in the wave and the infinite waters. Can you come to this conclusion? That the consciousness that is expressing through me and the infinite consciousness is at this very moment one and the same. There is no difference. Our problem comes, I see you conscious, I see her conscious, I see all these people who are listening are conscious, I see my husband or wife conscious, I see my children as conscious, and I think there are many consciousnesses. And I don't stop there. Then I think there are so many minds. Then I don't stop there. Then there are so many spaces. My house space, your house space. My country space, your country space. And the fall continues. We have programmed ourselves that way. Get out of it. And that possibility is not, you can't search for the solution outside. You have to search within. So this obsession with objectivity has to be dropped. It is a subjective experience. And what is subjective experience? We use very loosely the word subjective experience. That which is pertaining to me. But this is the BAP of subjective experience. It is the subject, full stop. And this experience is not without a thought. And therefore, subject is contemplating on the object. And what is the object? The subject itself. And that takes you beyond. Then there is no becoming. Then there is only abidance. Jnaneshwar Maharaj therefore initiates the theme that differentiation in pure consciousness takes two forms, Dvandva and Triputi or Dvaita. The subject-object relationship is the first differentiation in knowledge called Dvaita, Aham Idam Vritti. So what is Dvandva and Dvaita? Dvaita is inside, Dvandva is outside. What is, Is the Dvaita, the differences within, are they happening because of the differences outside? No, 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 no. The differences outside are perceived because of the differences within. And where are the differences within? In the mind. How are they expressing? Aham idam vritti. The I thought and the that thought, subject and object. Mind is nothing but subject and object. So Jnaneshwar Maharaj is saying that the relative knowledge takes two forms, dvandva, that is the outside, and dvaita, which is the triputi within. So we have to sort this out. The idam vritti gets divided again into dvandvas, the pairs of opposites. See? So now you watch. Now this is your analysis of yourself. So what is the analysis? The mind is nothing but an interaction between subject and object. Agree? Yes. With every thought, I is appearing. Without I, the knower, the known cannot express. So whether it is the knower, knower is also I. Whether it is experiencer, experience is also I. Whether it is seer, hearer, toucher, taster, thinker, feeler, everything is I. So I remains the same. I remains the same. The subject remains the same. But the object keeps changing. And this changing object, so first difference was subject and object. Second difference is the objects appearing as many. The object appearing as many. So I am the same, I is same, but when I see, so the object is the vision. I hear, the object is the ear, sound. I taste, the object is the tongue. Tongue is the instrument and the object is the whatever is tasted. So the object is changing. But who was seeing? I. Who was hearing? I. Who is tasting? I. Who is thinking? I. Subject remains the same. Objects keeps changing. So the idam vritti, idam, aham idam. Aham is I, idam is that, other than I. Aham doesn't change. The meaning of aham never changes. So whether you say I see, I hear, I touch, I feel, the meaning of I is the same. Me. But the subject keeps changing. I is different to the ears, are different to the tongue, is different to the mind, etc. Object keeps changing. Idam keeps changing. So here it says the idam vritti gets divided again into dvandvas, the pairs of opposites. Having strayed away from the undifferentiated knowledge which is our abode, how does one regain the lost paradise? How does one gain the nectar of immortality? How does one come back to the base that he always has been, is, and will continue to be? So why are we experiencing the differences? Has someone forced us? Has someone forced us? Has someone programmed us? Has someone taken us for a ride? No. Your decision. Full responsibility for our life. Don't blame any person. Not the Britishers, not the Muslims, not the education system, not the parents, not your wife, not your husband, not your children. Full responsibility that where I am at this moment is because of my choice. Choose wisely then. That's why we come to satsang, so that we can make better and better choices. So rather than choosing idam, and the idam appears in variety, and get lost in the idam, choose aham and find out. It's an exploration, it's an adventure. Don't take it too seriously. You will come to it only if you are enjoying it. If you are too serious, you will keep missing the target. It should be when we go for trekking or bushwalking, it's a joy. We don't know where we are going, but we keep walking. चलो देखेंगे यार कहीं पे. When I came to Australia, I used to take the car and I'll just keep driving. I don't know where I'm going. Keep driving 10, 20, 30 kilometers. Or फिर wherever I am, then because there are the road signs there, then I'll see the sign. Or somewhere it will say Rosanna Road, or somewhere it will say Western Ring Road or whatever. Now it's covering lot of distance, then I'll check that time we used to have Melway, we didn't have GPS that time. Then open the Melway, find out where I am and track my way back to Glenwaverley. See, we don't even know where we are at this moment. Are you with the subject, or are you with the object? Are you in the world, or are you in consciousness? Are you in relations, or are you with yourself? Are you expressing as the Gaunatma or the Mithyatma, or as the Mukhyatma? Are you clear? If you don't know what your position is at this moment, how you are going to trace your way back? So the first step is coming to assess where we are. See? And why have we strayed away from our essence, from the base? Khujli hai. Khujli. We got attracted. We get attracted to everything that is coming by our way. Now we were attracted before we were attracted by moon. Now humanity is attracted by Mars. They are still unaware that by yogic practices you can travel to moon within a second, and Mars and Sun, without physically going anywhere. But ठीक है, लगे रहने दो. At least they are busy. So because we have forgotten our essential nature, that is why we are addicted, engrossed in the idam. In Satyug, everyone was engrossed in the aham. But I did not choose to be delineated from the aham. This is Kali Yuga, everything is so difficult. So recognize that is the nature of the mind and bring your attention. Who knows this, that this is the nature of the mind? Be that. Be that. And because, this is going away from the topic, but because we are in Kali Yuga, therefore Jnaneshwar Maharaj has given the Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para sadhana. He has not told you anything else. He said, do that sadhana to prepare yourself. That is the most pertinent. Naam Jap is the most pertinent sadhana. And how to understand what is going on in the Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para was the whole chapter, the previous chapter. No, but Parikshit did not do any sadhana, he got realized. Arjuna did not do any sadhana, he only listened and he became clear of all the doubts. अपनी औकात पहचानो. Are you Arjuna? Are you Parikshit? No. Then do the hard yaka, do the hard work. Don't compare yourself with anyone else. Be truthful to where you are and how you are at this moment. And if a moment comes where only by listening it happens, so be it. But if it is not happening, then do what is required to get there. Now we enter into the text of the third chapter. Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj shows us how. What is he showing us? How to regain, how to discover, how to come back, how to reveal or invoke that divine nectar, that divine self, that infinite reality. As he says, the lost paradise. It has never got lost. It's only in our imagination. Why? We are in the nest of the mind. Jump out. Jump out of the mind. Meaning, jumping out of the mind, you can understand two ways. Jump out of the vritti jnana or contemplate. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Turiya. Waking, dream, deep sleep and meditation. These are only conditions of the mind. Jump out of this nest of the four. Because you know these four come and go every day. Or at least three come every day. Don't succumb to them. Don't take them to be real. Take a different position. How can I take that? Don't you know that these three come and go every day? Yes. Who knows it? Find out who is that fellow. Be that fellow who knows that these three come and go every day. This is jumping out of the mind. So let's see what Jnaneshwar Maharaj says. Ata ajnana cheni mare jnana abhede vavare need maru nizagare nandi zevi. Having thus destroyed the ignorance as explained in the preceding chapter, the undifferentiated knowledge reveals itself as the awakening which alone prevails after the destruction of deep sleep in the waking state. So, having thus destroyed the ignorance as explained in the preceding chapter, how did we what was the expression of ignorance in the preceding chapter, in the previous chapter? I am asking so that I know you are with me. What was the ignorance according to the previous chapter?
All the four stages of speech.
Yes. All the four stages of speech, in other words, waking, dream, deep sleep and meditation. The para-avastha or nirvikalpa-avastha. These are stages of expressions of ignorance. And having practiced that sadhana given in the third chapter and thus destroyed the ignorance, destruction doesn't mean annihilation. Destruction here means merging the effect into the cause, Vaikhari is merged into the Madhyama is merged into the Pashyanti is merged into the Para. And then that is the destruction. And in this, there was none of your doing involved. You did not merge it. It happened. Then what did you do? You just chanted the name. You cannot make it merge. It will merge when it is ready, when it is purified. When you remain undisturbed on account of anything in the world, then alone Vaikhari will merge into the Madhyama. When you remain undisturbed by anything in the mind, in the dream, then the Madhyama will merge into the Sushupti. When you remain undisturbed by Sushupti, that means when the sleep comes, you do not sleep. That is what it means. It doesn't mean ki I will do my sadhana in sleep. Nobody has ever done it. That means when the sleep is coming on the seat of meditation, you do not enter the sleep because you are so fired up by the mantra. So you bypass the sleep and land up in Paravani, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And for that, as I told before also, Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa. See? So this is what is thus destroyed the ignorance as explained in the preceding chapter. The undifferentiated knowledge reveals itself. When we bypass, when we transcend these four speeches, then what happens? The infinite reality, that self which is beyond the Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, it gets invoked, it gets awakened, it gets revealed, it gets inaugurated, whichever way, whatever the term suits your psyche, you take that. So here he is saying that it gets, it reveals itself as the awakening. Just like when we get up from the sleep, we become awake. Now we are awake for how long? For 14, 15, 16 hours. It's continuous. Once you have woken up, you are continuous. But we have a problem. That's eventually sleep comes. But this awakening, when it happens, it is forever and ever and ever and ever. Continuous without a break. Non-stop. There is no vanishing of this awakening after it reveals itself. And this awakening is the subject being the subject. In spite of the presence or the absence of thought. Meaning, in spite of the mind. Subject being the subject. See? Reveals itself as the awakening which alone prevails after the destruction of sleep in the waking state. So this is also a very important point. What is being made? After the destruction of sleep in the waking state. No power nap allowed. In the name of meditation, we do power naps on the seat of meditation. What were you doing? I was jhatka meditation. I was in meditation. Where were you? I don't know. That is, you have gone to sleep. This addiction of meditation is only because we enjoy nice sleep there. So this, if it is happening to us when we are taking the name of the Lord, and it will happen. If you have not taken the name of Lord, do it and you will find. Within 10 minutes you will go to sleep. And if you are going through Vaikhari Madhyama and you want to go into meditation, from Madhyama you want to go to Para in meditation. And every time you want to go there, Pashyanti comes in between. But in between, what is Pashyanti? Deep sleep. It's waiting because you only know one data in your entire life. No thoughts means sleep. Nobody has ever taught you no thoughts means wakefulness. No thoughts means awareness. Nobody has taught you. Your data is no thoughts means sleep. So when, even though we are practicing Vaikhari Madhyama, and from Madhyama we want to go into meditation, the Pashyanti is waiting with its claws to take us back into the ignorance. Then how do we bypass the deep sleep? By remaining awake. To remain awake, what you do? So Vaikhari is loud chanting, Madhyama is lip chanting or throat chanting, Para is no chanting, and deep sleep is no chanting with ignorance. And if that is slowly taking over, don't remain in your mind. Immediately come back to Vaikhari. Chant loudly, scream if you have to, with devotion, but loud chanting. The inability to remain awake at the threshold when the Madhyama is getting purified and you don't want to enter into Pashyanti and bypass Pashyanti to go to Para, it's only because you must have imagined, I am now in now my waking is purified. Automatically the throat chanting is going on. I think I have overcome the waking state. Don't imagine these things, because many things at the subconscious level need to be purified. The debt has to be paid. So every time the sleep comes, instead of enjoying the silence, instead of enjoying the non-movement of the body, instead of enjoying the non-movement of the mantra, immediately leave everything, sit there, but start chanting loudly. And this has to be done again and again and again and again till a point comes as a result of purification that when the last thought stops, instead of going into ignorant sleep, you remain awake in yourself as yourself. Don't seek meditation. If it happens, it's okay. We don't want to go into meditation. We want to abide. Our goal is not meditation. Our goal is abidance, once and for all. So in that journey to abidance, Vaikhari began, automatically Madhyama began, automatically without our invitation the sleep began or meditation began. These things don't come by your choice, they happen as a result of purification. The only thing that if we are doing the exercise, the only we have to remain alert of is not go into the deep sleep. And for that you have to come back to the waking. And therefore he says, after the destruction of deep sleep in the waking state. It did not say destruction of deep sleep after the dream. It did not say destruction of the deep sleep in deep sleep. It did not say destruction of deep sleep when you are in meditation, Turyavastha. No, it's talking about, because waking state is the sattvic state, and in the waking state alone sadhana can be practiced. So when you are beginning whatever, according to the third chapter, if you are doing the Nam Jap, you have to remain awake. If you are remaining awake and doing the Vaikhari Madhyama, then you are in the waking state. Don't allow yourself to slip into deep sleep. Because as potent deep sleep is, because it's bliss, but it's bliss of ignorance. And if you say that I don't know where I was, I didn't know what you were saying, it means you are in deep sleep, you are not in meditation. But it's an addiction. Many times I have said, गधा और घोड़ा खड़े होके सोते हैं, उसी तरह से a seeker also sits on the seat of meditation and goes to sleep. Like a Gada and Ghoda. He has perfected the art of fooling himself and others. Hello, good morning. What is the time? Now, having gone through the process of understanding and practice as indicated in the preceding 3 chapters, and after having destroyed the ignorance, or in other words, when the notion that I am limited Jiva, who is Sukhi, Dukhi, miserable entity, etc., and the Kartrutva Abhiman, a sense of doership, have been rejected by proper enquiry and by surrender at the feet of the Guru, then knowledge alone exists. What all things should happen? The other symptoms. Kartrutva Abhiman must go away, dissolve away, means the doership, the initiator of Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti, he must vanish. Then, second thing, Sukhi Dukhi. Oh, the mantra is going on very well. It became a japa jap sthiti. It led me to meditation. But today nothing is happening. I'm trying, I'm starting the mantra, but today the mind is very unsettled. I don't know why it is like dukhi ho gaye. So if we have really transcended Vaikhari as a result of our sadhana, nothing in the waking world will instigate joy and sorrow. Joy and sorrow in our life only come because of precipitation of raga dvesh, likes and dislikes. Raga dvesh, likes and dislikes come because our attention is on the result of our action. Then what to be done? Do the action for the sake of action. Story over. If your attention is on the result, why it has not happened, why am I not able to meditate, why the mantra is not going on, that means you want something out of it. You are not doing because it is the right thing to do. So I am the limited jiva, sukhi dukhi, and the kartrutva abhiman, a sense of doership with regards to chanting. I am the chanter, kartrutva abhiman. I am the meditator, kartrutva abhiman. The doership is there. I enjoyed the meditation or the japa. I am the enjoyer. Bhokta, karta bhokta. Now, whole process is to dissolve this karta bhokta, not make them stronger. For that, your rules of engagement in your relative, what we have been living with, these rules of engagement do not function. If you have to dissolve karta bhokta, the rules of engagement have to be totally different with world and with yourself. And that is what is being told here. have been rejected by proper enquiry and by surrender at the feet of the Guru, then knowledge alone exists. So, as our mind is getting purified as a result of the Vaikhari Madhyama, etc., then such a purified mind, if it doesn't already have the samskaras of enquiry or contemplation of on the self, then that purified mind must be exposed to these thoughts of Vedanta, these thoughts of enquiry. What is the enquiry? Enquiry does not mean studying such thick books. Enquiry is one simple thing. Atma Anatma Vivek. That's all. Enquiry means, why am I doing this sadhana? Why am I doing this sadhana? To realize that you started this only because you wanted to realize the self. You wanted to abide in the self. Enquiry means coming to this cognition that the consciousness that I am is continuous and everything else other than the self, other than the Atma, is discontinuous. Now keep rejecting the discontinuous. And this is what is being brought about by Vaikhari Madhyama. First, what was the Vaikhari? Vaikhari was the thought of the object and the object of the thought were separate. The object of the thought was in the world and the thought was in the mind. So that big difference was rejected. Then you came to Madhyama. The thought of the object was in the mind and the object was also in the mind. So both are thoughts. So they have come closer. So when I am seeking who am I or Aham Brahmasmi, so Brahmasmi, first I was looking for Brahman in the books. It is too far away. That's what we are doing. But as we continue, when the knowledge of the scriptures or some salient points, even involuntarily, they keep coming and knocking on the doors of the mind, and when we remember them, that now what is happening? The words from the scriptures, the words from the books have got, instead of the print on the paper, it has now become a thought. So Aham Brahmasmi, is no longer only in the book. I am also in my mind. I thought is in the mind and Brahman thought is also in the mind. This recognition, it was always that way, but now you are recognizing that Aham Brahmasmi, I cannot seek Aham Brahmasmi only through books, only through reading. So before the books were separate to you, now the knowledge of the books has come to the mind. So you are and the mind is, both are inseparable. So you have everything is, you are at a Madhyama level. And when this becomes an involuntary ajapajap sthiti, that you are on fire, the urgency is there, then instead of going into sleep or meditation, avoid meditation. If it happens, it's okay. But avoid sleep for sure. It should not be that now this is my time for meditation and I will sit in meditation. Don't do that. It's an addiction. Then what should we do? Should we be doing? Contemplating. We should be discriminating. Take different angles of approach. Bhutakash is Chittakash is Chidakash. Or the Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para and beyond. Or whatever, so many, and you will feel like reading only when you have not imbibed them. And when you have continuously listening to satsang and purifying yourself, then whatever is required by you at that moment will reveal what sadhana to follow, what question, what enquiry to pursue, in which angle to pursue. It will come from within. Trust the process. You are used to, I take out the book called Amrit Anubhav from my shelf, I open chapter 4 and I read it. So you are in control. And that has become your norm. You don't trust things happening by themselves, even though everything is happening by itself around you and inside you forever and ever and ever. But this kartrutva is there, no? I am. So with all this satsang, one day when you come to that threshold, automatically the right thought will catch hold. The discriminative way, what to discriminate between. Is it between anatma and atma, atma and anatma? Is it that I am in my presence, the presence of thoughts and absence of thoughts come and are happening? Is that the line of enquiry? See? Or is it the line of enquiry that I am other than the waking, dream, deep sleep and turiya avastha? Or is it the line of enquiry, as I said before, bhutakash, chittakash, chidakash, that the gross space is in the subtle space, is in the conscious space? And our experience is totally opposite. And such way, there are n number of exercises which we have heard in Bhagavatam, which we have seen here in the last 3 chapters, in Bhagavad Gita, in Upanishads. Trust. That is why surrender to Guru is required and the Lord is required. Trust that at the right time, the right enquiry will be initiated. Trust. It's only question of trust. Everything doesn't need to be in your control. When you want, you cannot become hungry. Only when hunger comes, it appears. No, I feel bladder pressure now. You can feel, nothing will happen. Only when it has to happen, it will happen. Same way. Trust. If you forcefully, willfully get into enquiry, into contemplation without purification, maximum it will lead to is meditation. That's all. Meditation is because body identification has not gone. When body identification has gone and enquiry happens, then meditation also vanishes. Then you abide. Then it is sahaja sthiti. Natural abidance. That is the awakening that was told in this verse. Where are we? So we'll stop here at the end of page 239. So we have to read from there. The nature of this knowledge is that there is no differentiation of knower known in it. We'll look at from this sentence onwards in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। हरि ओम।
हरिओम स्वामी जी।